Good morning, boys and girls. We're going to read the next chapter in Flying Solo. We have permission to read it through video by the publishing company, Sandpiper. Remember in the last chapter, it was all about the principal's office, and that parent was in the office complaining about all the teachers and saying that she was going to pull her student out of the school, and then she knocked over the stack of papers that had the note on it saying that the substitute was going to be absent today. So, 8:12 a.m., first bell. Rachel stood with Missy on the playground. At exactly 8:10 a.m., she gave Missy a see ya in a minute look and slipped in through the door. She had almost reached her classroom when the first bell rang. Remember, Rachel is the student that we met at the very beginning that stopped talking when their classmate Timmy died. Or Tommy. I think his name is Tommy. Yes, Tommy. Rachel loved coming to class early because it gave her a few quiet moments alone with Mr. Fabiano. He would stand by her desk talking to her, never pressuring her to talk back. And it was a pleasure simply to be near him and feel his words wash over her. Now, she entered room 238 and looked around. But the room was empty. Where was Mr. Fabiano? Rachel wondered. Then she spied the large block letters on the blackboard. So Rachel loves to go into the classroom in the morning and just sit and talk with Mr. Fabiano. So to me, that sounds like Mr. Fabiano is a very caring and kind person because he knows that Rachel is not going to talk. But he just sits there and talks to her and kind of helps her feel peaceful and at ease. Class, good morning. You will have a substitute teacher today. I know you will give Mrs. Muchmore the same respect and attention you will give me. You all know the routine for Friday. See you on Monday. Mr. Fabiano. So it sounds like to me, he wrote a note on the board just like I would write a note to you guys if I were gone. Rachel stamped her foot, and the sharp sound echoed in the deserted classroom. Substitute? As if anyone could substitute for Mr. Fabiano. It was the worst, most depressing way to start the day. And it was a Friday, which meant 3 whole days without Mr. Fabiano. The weekend was ruined. So it sounds like to me, Rachel really, really likes her teacher. And she doesn't want to have a substitute because then she thinks that the day is going to be horrible. She drifted over to where Tommy Feathers used to sit. A photograph of Tommy hung on the wall, but Rachel turned away from the grinning face and glanced at his old desk. She reached down and quickly touched the surface, running her thumb over the place where a heart had been carved into the wood and the letters T.F. plus R.W. crudely cut inside the heart. So that's Tommy Feathers and Rachel with her last name, and Tommy had carved that into the desk because remember, Tommy had a crush on her. He brought her a pie to her house. He gave her an extra bigger piece of, I think, the pie that he was giving to the whole entire class, so he really had feelings for her. Missy came into the room and stared at the blackboard. "Oh no, a sub?" Missy said, reading. "What a bummer." Rachel and Missy had been best friends since 2nd grade, before Rachel stopped talking. They'd get on the phone and lose track of time in deep talks about boys, music, religion, God, ghosts, ESP, telepathy. What, Brinkley? We'll see. Okay, hold on. Telepathy. Sorry, I said that word wrong. Telepathy. And sorry, guys, Brinkley came in and was asking me a question. They agreed that it was possible to read another person's thoughts if you were close enough. Missy was big. Rachel often wondered if Missy's own problems helped her to understand Rachel's. Missy knew what it was like to have kids point fingers and make nasty comments, whisper behind her back. She knew what it was like to have something eating at you from the inside. So it sounds like to me that Missy and Rachel, they're best friends and they share a lot of things in common. They know what it's like to be made fun of. They like the same things. So they're friends because they have those things in common. More than anybody else, Missy accepted Rachel's silence. Other kids got all nervous and chatty around Rachel, but not Missy. When they were together, Missy didn't try to fill the dead space with lots of empty chit-chat the way most kids did. The silence always felt light and easy between them, so they both like things that are quiet, so there's another thing that they have in common. Loud laughter outside the door. Karen and Jasmine raced into the room. "I won," Karen said, laughing and breathing hard. "They won," Jasmine said, pointing. "Hey, Missy. Hey, Rachel." Last fall, when Rachel stopped talking, she stopped smiling, too. Now she gave the girls a small wave as a gesture intended to mean hello. At the beginning of the year, Rachel considered Karen and Jasmine close friends. After Rachel stopped talking, the other two girls still acted friendly towards her, but things were somehow different now. So other people really don't know how to act around Rachel. "Anyway," Jasmine was saying, "I would have beat you if you hadn't tripped me." "Tripped you?" The girls took seats next to each other on the other side of the room. "You tripped yourself." Christopher Ransom lumbered into the room. "I'm ready to go home now," he announced, flopping down onto his desk and stretching out 2 big feet. Christopher's mother was president of the PTA. His father was a heart surgeon, and Christopher liked to brag that his father cut people up. He was rich, loud, and obnoxious. Think about that word, obnoxious. Like, it means like he's annoying and people don't like to hear the annoying things that he says. Jessica and Vicky came in next. Rachel thought they looked a little funny together since Vicky was short and Jessica was the tallest kid in the class. "Oh, a sub," Jessica groaned, seeing the note on the blackboard. "Fact," Christopher smirked. He rubbed his hands gleefully. And what better way to end the week than tormenting some brain-damaged sub? Christopher's voice put Rachel on edge. The kid was annoying beyond belief. To help tune him out, she watched the rest of the class enter the room. Tim and Jordan ran in laughing with Robert and Corey right behind. Robert and Corey were part of a set of triplets. The third triplet, Josh, was in Miss Riley's class. Then Rhonda came in and plopped down next to Missy. "My last day," Bastian shouted as he entered the room. "I thought you said Monday was your last day," Karen said. "My dad changed plans," Bastian said. "Farewell. I'm leaving you for the beaches of Hawaii." "You'll look great in a hula skirt," Jessica told him. "You should talk, String Bean," Bastian retorted. "Remember the time you wore a dress? I laughed so hard I almost peed my pants." "Hush, Bastian," Rhonda said. So they're talking back and forth, all these students, they're coming into the classroom at the beginning of the day, they're talking back and forth. To me, it sounds a lot like our classroom in the morning when we enter. Like, you guys are putting your things away, you're chit-chatting with your friends, you're going to the bathroom, using a drink, so it's a normal classroom. Bastian had a mean streak, and Rachel didn't trust him. He had moved into town just before the beginning of 6th grade and immediately made his presence felt by teasing kids in class. He invented nasty little nicknames for just about everybody. Missy, Thunder Thighs; Vicky, the Shrimp; Jessica, String Bean. He called Tommy Feathers the Professor, or sometimes Dr. Drool. So he's not very nice. Sean O'Day walked into the room and quietly took his seat at the back of the room. He was slender with a pale, sleepy complexion. Rachel noticed that he was wearing the same Chicago Bulls t-shirt he'd worn the day before. Now he glanced at her shyly and busied himself digging into his backpack. "You are my sunshine, My only sunshine, Christopher sang loudly. You make me happy when skies are gray. Leave him alone, Bastian told him. Not funny. Opinion, Christopher grinned. So Christopher's saying, well, that's your opinion, even though Christopher's like, I think I'm funny. Sean and Bastian had one thing in common. Sean's father, like Bastian's, had served in the Air Force, and Sean's father had left the military years ago. But Bastian said that didn't matter. Air Force is Air Force, once and forever. Sean was the one kid Bastian never picked on, and he wouldn't let anybody else pick on him either. So just like Rachel and Missy, they're best friends because they have things in common. Bastian and Sean have the Air Force family in common. Even though they might not be best friends, but they still have that in common with each other. The newest kid in class, Sky Reed, came in last. He had moved from Southern California in January. Tall and lanky, Sky had an earring and wore his blonde hair in a long braid. Bastian teased him about the earring. He and Sky got into a fight on the playground. Nobody won the fight, but Bastian's lip got cut. And after that, nobody teased Sky about the earring or anything else. Where's the sub? Tim asked, drumming on his desk. He was another boy who always made Rachel edgy. You watched the high school baseball game? They kicked Southside's butt. Anybody watch Star Trek last night? That was pretty freaky. Hey, so where's the sub? Sub is short for subhuman, Bastian said. Looks like she ditched us. Christopher started to sing, We got ditched by a ditzy submarine, a ditzy submarine. Not funny, Vicky said. Not even close. Opinion, Christopher replied smugly. Mr. Peacock came over the loudspeaker to make the morning announcements. Good morning, he said. Today is Friday, April 28th. That's a fact, Christopher said. It's a beautiful spring day, Mr. Peacock said. That's an opinion, Christopher said. Hush, Rhonda told him. So these kids don't have a teacher to tell them to sit down and be quiet. And so here they are. They're just still talking back and forth, back and forth. Somebody's got to take the lead. And so it sounds like to me that Rhonda, she's telling kids, hush, be quiet. Mr. Peacock proceeded to run through the day's business. Sign-ups for jazz band, no cheerleading practice, track meet Thursday, bring in cans for the food drive, important reminder, no hats allowed in school. Please stand for the pledge, Mr. Peacock said. Kids looked around, unsure of what to do. Bastian got up first. That was one thing his father had taught him. You stand for the flag. Always. When Bastian stood up, the other boys started getting out of their seats, and soon the whole class was pledging in ragged unison, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. So even though they don't have a teacher in there, they still know what they should be doing. They sat down. Still no sub. This lady must be totally clueless, Bastian said loudly, crackling his knuckles. That's your opinion, Christopher said. Remember, Christopher's obnoxious, and so every time he hears somebody say something that he thinks their opinion, he says, well, that's your opinion, or that's a fact, and so he's kind of annoying. It could be a man, Jessica said. Fact, Christopher put in. I'm begging you, Rhonda told Christopher. Hush! Attendance, Karen said from the front of the room. Who's absent? I am, Christopher said. I wish, Rhonda said. John's out, Bastian said. Really? David's not coming in, Robert said. He had an asthma attack yesterday. Melinda's sick too, Vicky said. Rachel watched Karen fill out the attendance, checking off present or absent. So to me, it seems like Karen is kind of taking lead in the class right now. She knows that there's not a teacher in here, so somebody has to do something. Her eyes lit on Tommy Feather's empty desk. There was no place on any attendance form to check off dead. How many hot lunches? Karen said. Who elected you teacher? Bastian demanded. She's class president, Jessica pointed out. That's her job. Hot lunch, Karen asked again, ignoring Bastian. What are they having? Corey asked. You don't want to know, Rhonda said. Greaseball pizza. Guaranteed 90% soaked in grease. Karen counted 8 hot lunches, 5 chocolate milks, and 3 white milks. Okay, who wants to bring it to the office? Karen asked. Me. Rachel thought it was funny the way everybody raised their hands by habit, even without a teacher. So again, they know how to act in class, even if the teacher's not in there. They know that even though the teacher's not there, who has to take that to the office? So they want to raise their hand. They want to get out of class and they want to go take it to the office. It made her want to smile, but she didn't. Rachel watched Karen standing there, deciding whom to pick. She really admired Karen. The girl was a born leader. Her neat black bangs and dark eyes gave her a no-nonsense look, and people took her seriously. Come to think of it, Karen said, I'll go myself. No fair, Tim moaned. Hey, Jessica said, don't forget to tell them about the sub. Don't worry, Karen said, bouncing out of the room. I will give a lecture while she's gone, Christopher announced. No, you won't, Rhonda told him. Why not? Tim shot back. Ever hear of the First Amendment? He said. The right to free speech? He has the right to be quiet, Rhonda retorted. Rachel folded her hands. It was more than that, much more. Not just the right to be silent, but the right to remain silent. It was a right protected by federal law. That's the end of that chapter. I want you to think about Karen. Karen's a born leader. What were some things that she did in this chapter that proves to you that she is a leader? Tell me in the comments. Tell me at least 2 things that show you that she is a natural leader for the classroom. And then we'll read the next chapter tomorrow. See you guys later. Bye.